Even though Apple just released its iPad Air a couple of months ago, people are already starting to look ahead to 2014 when Apple is rumored to launch a new version of its flagship tablet, the iPad Air 2. Now, recent rumors have raised the possibility of a 12.9-inch iPad, which is significantly larger than the current 9.7-inch screen, and it would hypothetically run at a 2K or maybe even a 4K resolution. While the current Retina display runs at 2048 by 1536 pixels and could arguably already be described as 2K or very close, having a physically larger screen would be good for movies and photo editing, and Apple likes to boast about statistics when it counts. This could be actually the much rumored iPad Pro, which would mean the iPad Air would stay the same, and if that's the only way to maintain portability, I'm all for it. Now, on that same topic, as the iPad gets more powerful, it becomes a more realistic proposition as a work machine, with current models inching closer to being dubbed true laptop replacements. The only problem is that touch input just isn't as accurate as mouse input for some tasks. Adding support for mice or graphics pen style devices over Bluetooth could make the iPad a more usable device for more complex tasks, especially when it comes to graphics apps. This would be quite a step for Apple since it touts touch as easy and intuitive, but it would nonetheless be welcomed by some users. Now, if Apple didn't want to do that, there are other possibilities instead, such as eye tracking, for example. If you could scroll pages depending on your eye movements and pause movies when you look away, that would be quite a cool feature to see on the iPad Air 2. Now, we have already seen this feature in devices from Samsung already, so what we'd be looking for is Apple to really make this system flawless. Now, like the Mini, the iPad Air still lacks the Touch ID sensor found in the new iPhone 5S, and that seems a little strange for an expensive flagship device. In the future, you can expect to see fingerprint sensing used for more than just unlocking a device, so putting it in the iPad would enable easier downloads, logins, and user switching. Its current ambition may be a cost issue in the sense that Apple wants to protect its profit margins, but over time, all technology tends to become cheaper, so it would be a welcome inclusion. Now, another thing Apple could put in the iPad Air 2 is maybe a micro SD card slot. With games and bigger music and video apps easily eating up 1GB or more, the base 16GB iPad can quickly fill up, especially if you're going to be away from your computer for a while and unable to resync new content easily. So even if Apple doesn't put a card slot into the iPad Air 2, they could easily add another way to sync content, be it a digital locker, a lightning port connector with card slot that can do more than just photos, or some other idea that people really have no idea about right now. Now, Apple probably will increase the processor speed on the iPad Air 2, and that's really something that a lot of people have been wanting. It's true that Apple's dual-core A7 performs better than most quad-core mobile CPUs in everyday use, and this comes down to the fact that making the processor and the software and tightly controlling both, Apple can optimize everything very well. But just imagine that level of expertise being applied to a quad-core CPU. Track counts and frame rates would go up, render and load times would go down, and it's all going to happen at some point, so Apple may as well just put it into the iPad Air 2 and do it sooner rather than later. Now, the camera on the iPad Air 2 also should get an improvement. The current iPad Air's camera, it's not the greatest, and considering how many people really do use their tablets as cameras, the camera really needs to be a little bit better. Rather than having you blow up your pictures and reducing them to a pixelated mess, Apple really needs to maybe add more sensors to the iPad Air 2's camera and really make it so it takes very good quality photos. And that applies to the front camera as well as the rear camera. Now, the last thing I want to see on the iPad Air 2, and this continues the productivity thing I've been talking about, is possibly allowing you to have two apps open at the same time. Now, this would be really cool. Imagine streaming music while checking your email and not having to switch out of one to see the other. There would have to be limits like not allowing two apps to play sound at the same time, but it seems plausible enough on the larger screen, the iPad Air is rumored to be 12.9 inches and with significant processing power. Windows has overtaken Apple with regards to multiple apps open at the same time, and I really think it's about time that Apple did give users this ability. But let me know what you want to see in the iPad Air 2 in the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!